Good afternoon, this is Success Talks, another episode with me, Peter Adefioye, and we're joined here with a special guest today, Rosina St James. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Really good.
Brilliant. And it's nice weather today, isn't it?
Oh, tell me about it. I feel like I'm in Jamaica, but minus the heat.
I know, right? So yeah, we're just going to get started by asking, who is Rosina St James?
Wow, that's a question. Would you like to know about the achievements or just generally, who am I?
Both.
Who am I? I hope to feel that I'm quite a nice person, as they call it. I feel like I'm doing a dating advert here. 23. I'm 23 years old. I was born and raised in Croydon. So although I've travelled and been to different parts of the world, born and raised in Croydon, haven't really left it. Don't feel like I'm going to leave it for a while because of political ambitions. Just really down to earth, I have 2 businesses at the moment. Awesome. I've just graduated from LSE and involved heavily in youth politics. Okay. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. And you recently did a talk at TED Talks.
Yes, I did.
Talk to us about that.
It was an experience. Like, anybody who's ever done a TEDx talk is like, wow, there's so much coaching attached to it. You've got to make sure you say this word, you've got to make sure you say that word. And because I'm dyslexic, like, trying to remember a script was just a complete, it just wasn't going to happen.
Wow.
So my coach was like, do you know what? Just remember the 3 key points and just go out there and say whatever. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And then you had other people who just wrote down reams of notes, who remembered everything, and I was like, wow, feel good.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're dyslexic. I mean, how did you cope with that during education, and how did you...
I think the funny thing about being dyslexic and actually finding out about it, I only found out when I got to university.
Wow. So
throughout my whole life, I always struggled at school, but I was always on the top class. But you could see, like, so I might as well be honest. So I wasn't the most well-behaved at school as well. It was a bit of a naughty one. But I would always kind of get told by a teacher, be quiet, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I was still quite academic, but I struggled. So at home, I would have to work like twice as hard, and I'd always look around thinking, why is everybody like just getting this? And for me, I wasn't getting things. And I would always struggle with words jumping up and down, but I just thought it was normal. So when I got to university, I asked for some coloured overlays, and the lady said, yeah, of course, why do you want them? And I was like, well, words jump around and when I'm reading and so forth. And she said, have you done a dyslexia test? I said, yeah. It took 20 minutes. She said, no, you haven't. So I did this 4-hour with this deep psychologist dyslexia test. And then they found out that I was chronically dyslexic, and they were surprised that no one picked it up.
Wow.
But I think for me, that was a bit more of a push. Once I found out, it was like, I was a bit shocked, as you would probably imagine, but it became an added push to know that if I'd done so much without knowing that I was dyslexic, what else am I capable now knowing that? So I started reading the Gift of Dyslexia books and all of this stuff out there, and you know, Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, some of the greats.
They were dyslexic.
They are dyslexic. So for me, I'm like, oh, I'm a part of the greats.
That's brilliant. And during your time at LSE, you were the ACS president.
Yes, I was.
What were your biggest challenges as being the president?
I think at the time, if you kind of look at the lineage of ACSs within LSE, there was a season in LSE where there was no kind of ACS going in, there was nothing happening. So just before I took over, there was this amazing guy called Damini who started to build up the ACS reputation, and it was like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, he igniting the fire back, and it was like my job to run with it. So in the year, it was like trying new things. It was, okay, let's try that. Okay, that doesn't work. Let's not try that. That doesn't work. And like in terms of the year, it was absolutely amazing. It was such just a great learning curve. Not only to be a president in LSE, as it were, but just in terms of the wealth of experience around you. Just the team that was built up. So then consequently, the team that was built up then ran for the next year, which gave like great kind of continuation between the two. So it was just an absolutely amazing experience.
So you saw some fruits of your labour in terms of something to carry on and legacy, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. Just in general, just it's always that feeling when you look at something that you've left behind, like a baby that you've carried, and then you see someone else running with it, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And you know that it was even the tiniest seed was the thing that started to produce this tree that you're looking at.
Okay.
So
is that something that drives you?
I think it's one of the things that drives me. There are a lot of different things that drive me. For example, failure drives me.
Wow. What is failure?
So failure for me is the not getting up again when you know you should get up again.
Okay.
So something happens, you fail your driving test. So that hurt me, I'm not gonna lie. Like my first driving test, I failed it and I was like, and my dad was like, what are you doing? Get up, nonsense. And I was like, it hurt me for a long time, it really did. But then at the point I was like, do you know what? I can either sit in this rut and not do anything about it, or get up and move.
Yeah.
And you get up and move. And I think that moment of realizing that you need to get up and move and like stop being in self-pity and like, is the amount of opportunities that fly past you during that period of time. So you could be going towards an opportunity and that doesn't work out, and then you stay in self-pity and then things are flying past you, but because you're stuck in self-pity you don't realise that these things are happening to you. So for me that's been a key driver, and my mum's got this amazing saying that I live by, and that is, don't live your life in regret. So don't live your life wishing, oh, I wish I'd done that, or I wish I should have done that, or that. Because the thing is, by living your life thinking that I wish I should have done that, you end up going through life not achieving the things that you wanted to. So even if you fail at it, you gave it a shot.
Yeah.
So even if it didn't go your way, at least you did it. At least in your mind you can settle yourself, because remember, your mind is the playing field. It's your key driver.
Yeah.
And if you can settle your mind and say, well, I've done it, it didn't work out, you just get up again and you keep it moving.
Wow.
So that's something that I would say really drives me.
So it seems you're an opportunist, in fact. And in fact, speaking of that, you also ran for the chair of the British Youth Council and got it. So
yes.
You were the chair of the British Youth Council for some time. Can you tell us about how you got involved and why you got involved?
So I, cut the long story short, but I used to work in Croydon Council for about 5 years as a youth participation worker. I was one of their youngest employees at the time.
Wow.
And I always loved the fact, so one of my key motivations is having young people's voices heard.
Okay.
And allowing them to be heard in arenas that they wouldn't normally get to kind of voice their opinion. So I love the whole idea of advocacy and representing young people's views. So I heard this position of vice chair for participation and development, and bearing in mind I was a participation worker for a long time, I thought, why not? How hard it could be. So, but I didn't understand what BYC was, even though we, in our council, we always kind of did events with them and so forth. I didn't really understand what it did. I saw young people who are in UKYP standing up, part of BYC and all of that, but didn't really get it. Until I started to do the research, I applied for the position, and then I was in it all of a sudden.
Wow. Nobody
knew me. So strategically, when I think about it now, it was a blessing, because nobody knew who I was.
Wow.
I wasn't a member of any organisation. Wow. I wasn't related to anybody in the room. I had no connections to nobody who were voting. So I came up, I did this speech about things that I was passionate about, and it came from me. And
so what would you say pulled you to victory? Was it the fact that you could convey your passion quite clearly?
I think that's something that generally I can kind of convey that passion in me, and that desire that, I want young people to, fulfill their potential, to fulfill their purpose and not get caught in their own rut. So I think I generally just convey that quite well. But I think at the time, I think it was that, and just in terms of experience as well, that I had to offer the job. And then once I was there as vice chair for a year, I then decided to run for a chair position. And at the time, like, there was like no kind of black female representative who'd ever run for chair or who'd ever been in that position. So it was a bit kind of alien, because it was like you had to be the catalyst in that sense. I think traditionally the board had always been seen as kind of white, kind of middle class young people. So then it
how many
had
people are you representing?
7 million young people, which is, you know,
it's quite a lot.
Not that much, right? But, you know, like 7 million, which is a huge responsibility when you think of it on the face of it. It's across the UK and internationally, and, you know, you've got to voice their opinion, whether it might be on BBC Breakfast or BBC Radio or Channel 4, which was kind of nerve-wracking. I think when I did BBC Breakfast, I was like, scared. I was like, my mom's watching me. But it was at that moment, it was a really high point for me, because it was like, wow, something that I've always been passionate about, you know, voicing young people's opinions, advocating, that kind of thing. Different. That was how they operate. And because 5 years effectively, I was working for the council, I couldn't even, it's too much conflict of interest, you're not allowed to campaign. So it took a little bit out of it. But I'm so glad that I did the experience, because for me, again, it was about learning some of the things you can read in the textbook, but you have to walk it out. And although the likelihood of me getting it was quite slim, I still needed to do that. I still needed to show face, and people needed to know who exactly I was and what I could offer potentially. So,
okay, so you're involved in many other things like the National Youth Agency and the Safer London Foundation. I mean, what's all that about? And in a sentence, what would you say you want to see with the youth in Britain?
National Youth Agency, I'm on their trustee board, so I'm a young trustee effectively. Likewise for V Inspired, a trustee there as well. And for Safer London, I was a youth ambassador for them for a period of time. I think in terms of what I would love for young people to realise, it goes back to tapping into what are you good at, what would you do for free, and how will you pursue that? Because I think anybody who would do something for free, which and their bills would be paid for, is likely linked to their passion, what their real driver is. And for me, it's about really young people really understanding that. I think that we've come to a time that there's high levels of youth unemployment, and there's all of this stuff on the news, and you're seeing young people just doing any kind of job just to get by and not being happy and fulfilled in that particular career that they've chosen. I think that even in this time of recession, you know, more entrepreneurs are built, more people who are stepping out to take the risks, to do what they're passionate about. And I would really encourage young people to really find out what you're passionate about and pursue that, because you know, money, fame, all of that will happen after, but you have to be happy in yourself first. So that would be my main message to young people.
And what do we need to know in terms of Rosina St James? What's next? You're involved in the running of a creative arts company.
Yes.
So what do the next 3 to 4 years entail?
Quite a few things. I've always grown up with my hands in many random pies, effectively. It kind of makes life a bit more interesting, as you would say. So I run an organisation with 2 other people called TIA. It stands for The Inner Attitude, and it works with women to develop self-esteem and confidence through the creative arts. And we, for the last 6 years, it's been going for, we have been working in loads of different local authorities, delivering plays to young women, and now we're actually doing a fashion show, which is a little bit out of our depth, as you would probably imagine, because we've always traditionally stuck to, you know, the drama, performing arts, that kind of thing. But the fashion show for us, it's more about character. It's a concept fashion show. So rather than a fashion show which is based on, you know, just walking down the catwalk, it's looking at what does self-esteem look like on the runway, what does identity look like on the runway. And so that's happening on the 5th of April. And then we've got another production happening in August in Fairfield Halls in Croydon. So that has been going on for a while, that we've been stimulating that. I've also, so in my last year of LSE, I was writing my dissertation on the resettlement of young adult offenders, particularly black boys, because there's such a high rate of black boys within the criminal justice system. So in my final year, I applied for some money to run this project. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, hey, just apply for some money. I got it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to actually run this now. So now I'm running, it's called the St James Network. So it'll be, well, I'm not sure what it's named after. But yeah, it's called the St James Network, and it's helping to resettle young adult offenders back into society post a prison sentence. So we're looking at the demographics of 18 to 25-year-olds, particularly males. It's teaching things like life skills and personal development. A lot of young people nowadays they always say, oh, you don't have employability skills or certain life skills you're lacking. And for me, it's, you know, those who would have been in the criminal justice system have missed that period out. So it's almost like they've got to catch up on that and everything else. So it's kind of putting that back into the community. So that's what's new. Other things that are new, so I've just become a community organiser, which is quite exciting.
That is exciting.
The new Obama style, if you want to call it.
For PM.
But yes, I've been doing that. Success talks. So yeah, it's definitely community organising has opened my eyes a lot. If anybody can do training on community organising, I would say just do it generally. In terms of learning about building relationships, because relationships are what makes the world go round effectively, and they're building effective relationships. So people build relationships and like, yeah, I follow you on Twitter, right? But it's not a relationship that will cause an action.
So what 3 things do you believe are the key to your success and success in general?
The first thing I think is the key to my success is having the right mentors and guidance around you. And my mentors happen to come from inside my family network. So one of my biggest mentors is my sister. We have like 14 years apart from each other, but we're together as if it was like 1 year apart from each other. Most people think I'm the oldest and she's the youngest. Hey. But she has been like a huge mentor to me, alongside like my mom and my dad have been kind of key, push. So I would say first is to get yourself a mentor. I would also say second is start to embrace failure.
Wow. And
embrace it like it's become your best friend. Because a lot of people don't step out, aren't prepared to step out and do things because they're scared of the outcome. Or they're scared of, oh, this person's, well, what they might view of what you've done, or this other person, said, oh, you didn't do what you said that you were going to do. I would say that really embrace failure and build up that resilience level, like build your life on that. Because once you start to embrace the idea of failure, nothing, it's just, you just go off and do it. What's the worst that can happen? Let's say no, keep it moving. And I think the last thing for me is trying new things.
Okay.
Just trying, being quite open-minded and being quite flexible. Going to new places, and a lot of people are stuck in this box that just doesn't exist. They created this box, their families created this box, their limited beliefs have created this box, and they step out slightly out of the box and like, yeah, I'm out of it. But the box doesn't exist. It's never existed. You, the one who created it in your mind.
Wow.
And for me, it's about being able to just go out and just do things. So a lot of people know me as a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So I like skydiving, I like bungee jumps. I like things that are a little bit outside of the box. And you know, might take my life at risk, but who cares? But I think it's just doing that. It builds up all those 2 elements, all that element of, you know, not being afraid of failure and that kind of thing. So
So you'd say mentors, embracing failure, and trying new things.
Just giving everything and everything a go.
Yeah. I mean, if you had the opportunity to go back in time and talk to the 12-year-old Rosina, given you have the knowledge acquired till this point, what would you tell yourself that will help perpetuate your career even further?
Stay away from boys. No, I think that's the most women's thing. No, I would probably say to myself that you can achieve anything.
Wow.
It's limitless. But really find out what you're passionate about. I think when I was 9, 10, even 9, 10, 11, I always knew what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
I found that quite early, and some people don't. And I think I would have said at that age, really explore that, really explore it. Don't just be satisfied that I knew what it was, really go for it. What opportunities could I have done at 9, at 10, at 11? Most of the time when most people was watching CITV. That's it, that's the one. Yeah. I was watching Sister, you know, all those programs. But what could I have done at that age which could have helped in the long run? So I probably would have said, really, at that age, really explore that and start to understanding it a bit more, unpick it. Because I've heard like other young people out there who started campaigning at 2. I'm like, could you even talk? But again, for me, I'm like, wow, you've always known what you've wanted to do. So yeah, I probably would have said that.
And final question, in line with your TED Talks, that was about legacy. What legacy would you leave behind? What legacy would you like to leave behind in the next 60 years?
I would like to leave, I've got ambitious plans. I would like to be the first female MP in Croydon. That would be amazing, and also obviously reach to cabinet. I was a minister for children and young people, which doesn't exist anymore. But that for me would be, I would be happy with culture, arts, and that is, I kind of see that as a huge aim. Anything that happens after that, well, that's what happens. So that's what I see at the moment, as along with, you know, being a billionaire, being the next Bill Gates.
Awesome.
Making money. The lights, all of that, everything else. But I think for me, that would be my legacy that I'd like to leave behind. And I'd like to see more women in higher places, to be honest. We're seeing a lot of women who aren't as many in the boardroom, not on the FTSE 100. I would like to see more women engaged in that system, more ethnic minorities engaging in that system, and not putting that limit on themselves.